What's up, YouTube? Today is going to be a sick day. We are on our way to Cahuilla Creek to do day one of the 2021 Cycle News 250 MX Shootout. Days like these are so fun. We get to ride all the new bikes back to back, which is super cool. And then we get to test them and see, what we like about each one, what we don't like. And we're going to have a full story in the magazine, so I'll be sure to drop a link to that in the description below. Check it out. Follow on.
What's up, guys? Finished up 2 days of testing for the Cycle News 2021 250 Motocross Shootout, and dude, I am so smoked. 2 days of riding will really take it out of you, especially when you're running 6 bikes, getting a full test done. First up, I want to give a big shout out to Liat Gear and CD Boots. They really hooked it up this year. This new gear is so good. It's nice and stretchy and super comfortable to wear. I've been wearing it for 2 days straight now. And CD really came through with the new Atojo boots. Brand new boots, super lightweight, really comfortable. Stoked to be riding in those things. So what I'm going to do basically is give you a rundown of each bike. We'll do some GoPro clips, and then I'll overlay like my voice down on some of the riding that'll actually give you some insight, just things that we don't like about each bike, things that we do like about each bike, and yeah, hopefully it's informative for you and you learn something and can watch some cool riding. Okay, so in 6th place this year I put the Gas MC 250F. It's not that I don't like this bike, I really do like this bike. It's just so easy to ride. The KTM, the Husqvarna, and the Gas now are all super similar. They share the same chassis, they share a lot of the same engine components. The only difference to me between those 3 bikes, the Gas has a closed off air box, so where the bike sucks the air through is actually closed off, so it gives the bike a lot more restricted feel. It's honestly, like, in my opinion, kind of slow. I'm 180 pounds and it's 6 feet tall on a good day, so to me, I want a little bit extra. I want a fast 250F. Like, I'm used to riding a 450, so to me, riding the 250F, I want it to be fast. It is kind of like the more budget-friendly bike. It's got the silver wheels, the cast triple clamps, and aluminum bars that are just a little, I don't know, it doesn't feel as premier as the KTM and the Husqvarna do. So to me, I did put this in 6th place. It's still a great bike, especially if you're gonna be somebody that maybe isn't gonna go race this thing. The suspension is softer. It does come with the same exact suspension components that the Husqvarna and the KTM do. They're just a lot softer. And then the engine, like I said, is a little just more restrictive. So it's a great bike, but I didn't really know where to put this, especially when the KTM and the Husqvarna are so close to this machine. You know what I mean? They did, like I said, they share a lot of the same parts. So for me, I did put this one in 6th place. Still a great bike, budget friendly. If you're not necessarily a serious racer, or you are a serious racer but want to put some work into this, great bike. Okay, in 5th place, literally right in front of the Gas is the Honda CRF 250R. This bike is literally the exact same bike that it was a year ago, and not too much different than it was 2 years ago. This is the 3rd or 4th year of the generation of this CRF 250R, and what's a bummer is Honda's been putting so much effort into the 450 program that the 250 has really just been lacking. Like I said, it's the exact same bike. The only difference is it has a new sticker over it on the frame, same graphics and everything. It's still got the dual header design, which I burned my pants on a year ago, so like I'm not a huge fan of that just because I don't expect the header pipe to be there. And the thing about the Honda, it's a solid bike. It does everything pretty good. It's just very plain. It doesn't do anything very well or anything very bad. It doesn't have a ton of power. I would even go to say like the Gas has more power, it just lays it on a little differently. The thing with the Honda is it's just a little margin where you can ride the bike, and you have to keep it there. It's like riding a 125. You just have to feather the clutch, keep it in that power zone, and really ride it on the pipe. Like I said, there's a small window of area where it makes power, and it's hard to keep it there. It's not like some of the other bikes where you can just lug it and get away with it. The Honda, we've been running it in map 3, which is the aggressive map. It's going to be the one that is really like going to waken the bike up and give it more juice to me. That's like, that was our sweet spot. And then overall, like the chassis is just a little bit harsh. It's not as compliant as some of the other bikes. We did a couple fork adjustments, just to make it a little softer in the front, bring the rebound to come back a little bit better. but overall just kind of feels dead. There's not anything that really, like on the Yamaha, is like sets the tone for the suspension, and then riding some of these other bikes like the Honda just needs a little bit more work than some of the others. The only reason I beat out the gas in my opinion is it's just a little bit, you know, more familiar. I ride a Honda normally, so jumping to that bike and the gas, the ergonomics to me were just a little bit better, and I'd rather deal with a little bit stiffer suspension than the softer suspension, so that's why I put the Honda in 5th. Just ahead of the gas. Okay, so in 4th place, kind of a lonely position for me, was the Husqvarna FC250. This bike is probably the most premier level bike in the class. It's got the Magura clutch, Brembo brakes, like it is the cream of the crop. But in that same note, it's got the highest price tag, right? So it's the most expensive bike on the market. I think it's over $10,000 for a 250, which is just bonkers, right? So on the track though, the bike's really good. A lot of people say, oh, it's just a white KTM, but in reality, it is different. This year on the 250 and the 450, what they did with the WP suspension is they actually lowered the bike 10 millimeters. So the fork stanchions and the rear shock are actually 10 millimeters shorter, which is a big difference. And what happens is when you bolt that up to the bike, it actually ends up giving the bike, it's more than 10 millimeters when you actually ride the bike, right? So out on the track, like I'm a bigger rider. I'm 6 foot, 6'1", if I'm having a good day. And to me, it just makes the bike feel really low to the ground and small. It does turn really well, but like when you go long on a jump or something, like I felt my heels dragging on the face of the jump or a landing. So to me, that kind of like steered me away from putting this bike up towards the top. Obviously, I love the hydraulic clutch and love the brakes. They're probably the best in the business. And I always run this bike on map 2, which is the more aggressive setting. So bike's really good, it revs really high, there's a lot of usable power, which is awesome. Yeah, just the suspension, and to me I like to pick a bike that is going to be the bike that's easiest for me to ride and go the fastest on for the longest period of time. Like what bike can I just jump on and go fast and that I would go by myself, right? And so to me, just having the super high price tag and the lowered suspension, to me, I couldn't get a really great feeling from this bike, and I put it 4th place. If you are a shorter rider, you know, that might be something that is a really good selling point for you for this bike. Having it lower to the ground makes it easier to ride for a shorter guy, and getting the bike to turn, you don't have to put as much effort into it. So to me, hey, there's always the right customer, right? So not knocking the Husky, just not my taste, and yeah, it ended up in 4th place for me. In 3rd place for me, I put the KTM 250 SXF. This is the first of the Austrian bikes, right? So this is gonna be podium position, the KTM, the Husqvarna, and the gas. These are the lightest bikes on the market. The gas weighs in at 231 pounds, which is the lightest in the class. And the Husky and the KTM are right there with 233 pounds. So big difference for this is the air fork. The guys at WP say that this saves over 3 pounds of weight. That's a really big savings, you know, when you're out on the track, 3 pounds. If you were to ride around with a 3-pound weight on you, you'd probably notice it pretty good. So taking that off makes a big difference. For me, the power of the KTM is just so usable. It revs really high. I think it revs over 10,000 RPM. So riding this bike on the track, it's very usable. It doesn't have as much of like a big heavy hit like the Yamaha does. The KTM is a lot more linear, and you can ride it from the bottom of the power band. It carries you all the way through. The shift points are real good. You can just leave it in a gear and it revs really high, which makes it fun and easy to ride. Same thing, the hydraulic clutch, awesome. The difference between the KTM and the Husqvarna with the hydraulic clutch is the Husqvarna has the Magura and the KTM has the Brembo. So it's got Brembo brakes, Brembo clutch, and it's super easy to use, right? Like, especially with all the new 450s moving towards the hydraulic clutch, it's really nice that that 250 has the same thing as well. So super fun bike to ride. To me, the ergonomics are just a little different. When you ride the Japanese bike, like I ride a Honda normally, so to me, riding that, the pegs and the bars, they kind of have more of a, you know, tilted up feel, rather where the Yamaha and the Honda are more of like a flat feel. So just a little bit different, and that's just all personal preference. Obviously, if you ride a KTM all the time, you're going to be totally used to that. I really like this bike. It's super light, super fast, and really easy to go fast on, right? So that's another big selling point for me. This is the midpoint price between the KTM and the Husqvarna and the gas. The KTM is right there in the middle. So yeah, podium position for me. Love the bike, super fun to ride. Just a few clicks off the other two that I picked that I put 1st and 2nd, and we'll get to those next. Okay, we're getting down to 2. So in second place, I put the 21 KX250. This bike is brand new. It's I think one of the only brand new bikes in the class. Obviously the gas. The 2021 KX250 is based pretty much exactly on the KX450, and that was right there neck and neck with my favorite bike for the 450 class. So love that it's got a lot of the same features that bike has. New frame, new swing arm, super easy to ride, super comfortable. Like I said, just the same one as the 450. And that's a bike to me that I was able to just jump on and go fast on. It's super fun. The things I like about the Kawasaki, new hydraulic clutch and electric start. Dude, finally, right? This was a good bike last year, but it just missed those things. It missed the e-start and it missed, I was okay without the hydraulic clutch. But to me this year that just puts it up a few more positions. The one thing I do wish this bike had is the mapping switch. The Yamaha, the KTM, the Husqvarna, they all have this mapping switch where you can literally just switch it over on the fly. Kawasaki does feel a little bit outdated with having to unplug a coupler and then plug a coupler back in. It's like the one thing that I would probably complain about is the coupler system. You have to unplug it, plug one back in, and you have to actually like make a pit stop for that. You can't just do it on the fly. It's not a huge deal. It doesn't hold it back, obviously, like it's still up in the top 3 for me. But that is the one thing I wish it was a little different. I run this bike on the lean map the whole time, which is the more aggressive, you'd say, map. But to me, it really brings the bike alive more than it did in the past. This bike also has the newer engine, which is what it had last year. It really brings the motor alive in the top end. They focused a little more this year on having it have a little more bottom end, and to me, it's just so fun to ride. I actually got to ride that bike earlier in the year at the intro, and then I got to ride it a few times after that. So I really liked it then, and then being able to have the KYB tech on site made it super easy, made the bike work really good. Suspension is a little bit harsh. It did take me a little bit to get that thing totally dialed in, but once I did, dude, it was so fun. You could go fast up and down the hills at Glen, Helen, jump really good at Cahuilla. Yeah, just overall super solid bike, and number 2 for me in 2021. Drum roll, please. In first place, once again, the Yamaha YZ250F. Dude, this bike cannot do anything wrong, it seems. I had this bike in 2015 and 16 and just fell in love with it. It is so sick, dude. The bike is so good. The engine is not the fastest. You can check the dyno. It's a few horsepower, I think 2 horsepower down from the KTM and the Husqvarna, but you would never know it on the track. It's the most exciting power band to ride. It really hits hard at the bottom and carries all the way through the top. Yeah, you do have to shift it maybe a tad more than the KTM and the Husky, but this thing is so fun to ride. Keep it on the light on, which is the more aggressive map, and it just hits hard, and you can just freaking ride. It's so fun. It's such a great bike. One of the key highlights to me, the big pegs. It feels like you got oversized pegs right from the start, so love that. The rider cockpit is just really solid. Had to adjust the bars just a tad. You jump on the bike and you can go fast right away, so love that about it. Power, obviously, super cool. The Yamaha tuner app, what's really cool is Stevie and the guys at Yamaha, what they were able to do with us this day is like load a map onto the engine. So they're like, hey, try this more aggressive map, and they could literally just load it from the phone to the bike's computer. Super easy, and anybody can do that, so that's something that's super cool, super easy to use, and like another huge selling feature for me. And then last but not least, the suspension. This has the KYB SSS fork, which is just literally, it's unreal, dude. Like, it has the same thing on the 450, and what I said then was when we did our 450 shootout is I really don't even think I would need to get my suspension done on this bike. It feels like you could just take it from the dealership and go straight to a race. It's that good. I don't even think we did any clicker adjustments on this bike. You can go, I was like jumping off the top of the hills at Glen Helen and just going so deep at Cahuilla. You can really ride the bike going farther into the turns. It goes wherever you want. I think I was doing my fastest lap times on the Yamaha both days. Rough track, smooth track, didn't matter. Clear winner for me, Yamaha YZ250F. So I'm actually the one that's going to write the story for Cycle News Magazine. Check that out if you want to read about it. It gives a little more detail and kind of like an overlay of everybody's thoughts on the bikes, not just my own. So be sure to read the story, check that out, support the magazine. If you like the video, be sure to drop a like, subscribe, drop a comment if you have any questions about the bikes, and we'll look forward to seeing you at the track.